Now, I'll be speaking in the United States next month on the 22nd of January in Dearborn, Michigan. I very much, on that trip, hope to hook up with my old friend that I actually haven't met yet, but have become famous and firm friends with. He is John LeBoutillier, my favourite American, former Republican congressman, and now with Newsmax, and about to start his own radio show in double harness. Sadly not with me, but with a very fine woman broadcaster. Maybe he'll tell us something about that. But first, John, I must ask you about Time magazine. And they've chosen Mark Zuckerberg as the man of the year. Why he, and why this year?
Hello, George, and Merry Christmas to you and all your listeners.
Now, you're going to join me on Christmas Day, I hope, John. Although that is...
I am. It's the highlight of my Christmas. It's going to be my Christmas night, and I've already got it blocked out. I'm not moving till we talk.
Fantastic. Well, you and I are going to have a good Christmas Day together across the ocean. Tell us, Mark Zuckerberg. Mark Zuckerberg's a pretty controversial cove, isn't he?
Well, I think it's a ridiculous choice, I have to say, that Time magazine should have picked, in my view, one of three things for the Time magazine person, man, thing of the year. Number one would have been, in my view, the Tea Party movement in America, because what effect that has had on our politics.
Yeah.
It's been huge.
I remember we talked about it right at the very beginning, and in fact you alerted us to it before anyone had ever really heard of it over here.
Right, and that was around April of '09.
Yeah.
Is when it sort of began, and in this past year it was a huge political story. But then I thought that what they would do is not pick Tea Party movement, because Time magazine is liberal and the Tea Party's conservative, so I thought they would pick either Julian Assange himself or the whole WikiLeaks thing.
Yeah.
And then my backup was they would, if they wanted to go with the good story, not controversial, pick the Chilean miners, because they were a great story for everybody, very inspirational. Well, they didn't pick any of them. They picked, as you said, Mark Zuckerberg. And I think the reason, George, they did it is Time magazine is dying. It has nobody reading it anymore, nobody buying it, and certainly no one who's young is buying it. And I think they made a conscious move to suck up to the young digital, online audience of Facebook and go with Zuckerberg and try to get people who are under 30 who don't read magazines anymore to take a shot at Time magazine and take a look at it.
Maybe they're hoping that Zuckerberg will buy it, lock, stock, and barrel.
Well, it's not an impossibility that that's what they would want. I don't think that guy wants any part of it. But George, Time magazine has become an irrelevant news source over here. And the one issue of the year that was relevant was the one where they picked the person of the year. We all talk about it every year.
Yeah.
Now, I think they're making themselves, even that issue's irrelevant when they pick a guy like him. And that's no knock on Zuckerberg.
Well, just what is it about the multi-billionaire 26-year-old Mark Zuckerberg is it that you and I don't like?
Well, first of all, I don't see what happened this year with Facebook as opposed to last year, 2 years, 3 years ago. It's been around for several years. Yeah, they had the movie out this year called The Social Network about him and how he created it. But that was not in any way the driving man or story of the year. It was not Facebook. It was the things we talked about, either the Tea Party, which I find people around the world are talking about, and wondering, what is this thing? What is it?
Well, that's right, and some of us are fearing it. Now, of course, the readers of Time magazine had quite different picks. They had Zuckerberg at number 10, and they had Julian Assange at number 1. Is he as big in America as he is here in Britain?
Yes, and it was tonight... 45 minutes ago in our evening newscast, which come on at our 6:30. It's now 7:23, so it's 45 minutes ago. All three networks led off with interviews from that house that he's staying in with Julian Assange, and it is a big news story, and generally it's been a negative story for him, mostly in this country.
Sure, because it was your secrets that he revealed.
Yeah, but there's some strange bedfellows, George. There are some liberals and some conservatives, and I'm kind of one of them, who kind of like these secrets coming out. For instance, the one that he revealed in a story in the cables about the vice president of Afghanistan being picked up over in the United Arab Emirates with some cash on his body, and he was there to deposit it in his personal bank account. And the amount of cash, well, I was going to say, the amount of cash was $52 million.
Yeah. Shouldn't we know that?
Now, shouldn't we know that? Shouldn't the U.S. people who are funding the war, and the British people, shouldn't they know we are pouring our money in a bad economy into this thing, and this crooked son of a bitch is taking $52 million, and he's the vice president.
Yeah, imagine
right?
what the president's got.
The president. Yeah.
Well, you laugh or you cry. There's no doubt about that. I mean, a lot of these things that have been revealed are embarrassing. Some of them are more than embarrassing. I myself popped up for the first time in the WikiLeaks today. You can get that in The Guardian. If you type in Galloway plus Cuba in The Guardian, you'll get a rather unflattering view of myself from Her Majesty's representative, a matter I shall be taking up with the Foreign Office myself on Monday. But some of them are I suppose, politically damaging. But none of them are secret, John, and or rather, none of them are top secret. And 3 million people had access to them in any case.
Well, now that by itself, I mean, now 3 million people in a country of 300 million, so that means 1 out of every 100 people has access to all this secret stuff. And that seems like a lot of people to me.
It does. Now, of course, well, I'll tell you what I think. And here is where some people think this is all a double conspiracy. I think the United States comes out better out of these cables than most of the people that they're reporting on. Now, that might be because it's the United States officials that are writing the cables, I'll grant you. But when I look at the friends of the United States that are being reported on in these cables, like Karzai in Afghanistan, or the kleptocracy that runs Saudi Arabia, where they chop people's heads off in the public square on Friday afternoons for the discouragement of the others. I just shudder, frankly, at the coalition of the free that we like to run around with.
Well, I agree with you. I think that's why people are flummoxed over this thing. They shouldn't be mad. The U.S. government itself doesn't look badly. You're right. It's what they're learning about our allies, and that should be known to the American people.
And yet,
I wonder if it isn't the political class is more upset than the average person.
Well, Fox News, neither your nor my favourite station, there are people on there calling for him to be tried for espionage, some for his execution, and one person on Fox News called for him to be assassinated. That's obviously the ravings of the far right, but most people unmoved.
I think they are. I think that the economy is so bad and other things are going on. I don't really think it's a big deal to most people. They've also been, it's sort of been, there's so much of it, 250,000 pages of documents. No one's reading any of it, of the people. So what they're hearing, they're sort of being told that military secrets, things that could endanger our soldiers is being leaked out. And it's not. And if it were, that would not be right. But that is not what's being leaked out.
No, quite so. Well, look, John, you and I are going to have a good chat, a much longer one, on Christmas Day. I look forward to that very much. And I do hope, keep that date in mind, yeah? I'll be in Dearborn in Michigan on the 22nd of January, God willing.
Why don't you come through New York City?
I'll do that. I'll do that, and we'll hook up there, yeah?
We'll have a nice lunch.
Fabulous, John. I'll call you later.
We'll plot our mutual political comeback.
Absolutely. Thanks very much. John LeBoutillier, the sage from across the Atlantic, talking through Time Magazine's peculiar pick of Man of the Year.